The ocean serves as the perfect metaphor for the breath. My middle name Kai is Hawaiian for ocean, so I've always felt a really deep connection to the water and to breath as well. And today I wanted to bring us to Malibu Beach to give you that visual and the natural cycle and the rhythm. Each breath, the inhalation brings in new air into our bodies. Then it gets cycled throughout all of our cells with oxygen. And then on the expiration, we release things like carbon dioxide. You can think about the in-breath like the coming of the waves, and you can think about the out-breath like the going or the leaving of the waves, and the lungs are the shore or the beach where that breath and that movement kind of comes and crashes and comes up against and then gently releases and washes back and away. And at each end, there's like a little tiny pause. So at the top of the inhalation, there's just that pause, almost imperceptible, before the waves recede back into the ocean. And likewise, there's a mirroring pause at the end where there's a little bit of rest, where the new wave and the new tide is about to come in. If we're not conscious about our breath patterns throughout the day, most of us tend to live up in here in upper chest respiratory breathing, and we're not taking full cycles of breath, especially if we're in a forward rounded position all day or watching the news or working on a computer. Breathing helps remind us to open up, to fully circulate our breath throughout our entire bodies, and it helps to regulate our mood, our minds, our energy. And in a sense, I think about breath as like the digestion for the emotional system. It's like our emotional processing system. If we're able to breathe through an experience, then we're better able to process it because we're not leaving as much to tend to later. Like when something scary happens, we go, we take a short in breath because we want to send more oxygen into our system and get our body ready to respond and react to whatever is happening. But that doesn't necessarily mean we have the space to process what's happening in that moment. So taking conscious, rhythmic, cyclical breaths as a daily or regular practice can help to digest some of that unprocessed stuff. So it's one of my favorite techniques for linking the mind and the body together because your pranic layer, your breath layer, resides in between your body and your mental layer, your body being your Annamaya kosha and your mental layer being your Manomaya kosha. So those are the first three layers in the Panchamaya model. Why we spend a lot of time focusing on this type of technique in particular is because it affects every part of your day. If you can spend a little bit of time learning how to breathe better and how to recognize the various effects of different types of breathing on your psychosomatic way of being or state of being in the world, then it can have a huge rippling effect into the rest of your life. I would invite you to be an observer of the breath, just like you would go out to the ocean and watch the waves coming and going. And in some techniques, you want to bring specific mindfulness to an area and intentionally create change there. And in other moments, you'll just want to simply turn your attention and your presence inward and observe what's happening. Because you can't really force the waves to come and go. Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller, and that's okay. That's part of nature's way of being. There's a rhythm to it, there's a cadence to it, and there's a certain flow to it. And within that, there's an opportunity for surrender. There's an opportunity for true presence and focusing on something that is very simple. And the last reason why I really like breathing is because your breath is always with you. I can't always be with you. You can't always go to your yoga studio. You can't always have the perfect circumstances for a practice, but your breath is with you for as long as you live. And so the more you practice tapping into that as a nourishment practice, the easier it is for you to self-regulate using breath and breath work as a tool. So start practicing now. Just take it in little chunks. Often 5 minutes is plenty. So I'll be leading you guys through a few different practices, and I hope they will serve you for many, many days and cycles to come.